Good morning. Lesson 13, solving proportions. So we've been talking a lot lately about equivalent fractions and ratios and how they're very similar. I say it's the same thing, just on its side, right? So a proportion is an equation, a number sentence, that shows two equivalent values. So you've got like 1 to 4 is 2 to 8 is 3 to 12 is 4 to 16. So what we have to look for is, what is the rate of change in our ratio? So when I went from 1 to 4 to 2 to 8, how did I get from 1 to 4? Or from 4 to 8? I timesed it by 2, right? How did I get from 4 to 12? This was times 2, this was times 3, this was times 4. And remember, whatever I do to one half of my proportion, I have to do to the other. So if I did 4 times 2, I have to do 1 times 2. If I did 4 times 3 is 12, I have to do 1 times 3 is 3. Right? So it's just like a fraction. 1/4 is 2/8 is 3/12 is 4/16. We could keep going. Is 5/20 is 6/24. See, we're just counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. You could keep going forever with equivalent fractions. Okay? So your minute math's going to come in really handy today. So if it's not something you're great at, I would get a calculator, although you should be great at it because we've been practicing every day. So in question 1, all you're going to do is find out what they're multiplying by and fill in the blank. So you've got 4/5 is how many 20ths? Okay? So we're going to learn a new strategy. You're going to draw arrows. Okay, so how did I get from 5 to 20? It always has to be multiplying. It could be dividing, but we're going to work strictly in multiplying because you guys get all sweaty and upset when we start to divide. So 5, how did I get from 5 to 20? Times 4, which means I have to do times 4 on the top. So this would be 16. Okay, if I had 3/8 and it asked me how many 16ths, I draw my arrow. How did I get from 8 to 16? Well, times 2. So that means I got a times 2 up here and I get 6. Now, where things sometimes get a little bit, oh, no, I think you're okay on this one. I think for the next one we have to, yes, okay. Pause the video, go do number 1, you'll rip through it super fast. Easy breezy. Okay. For the second half of number 1, the arrows go the other way sometimes. So we've got 15 over something is 3/4, okay? So the arrow is going to go this way this time because I changed 3 to 15, just so we can keep with multiplying and you don't get upset about the dividing, right? So I went times 5. So in this case, I have to go times 5 and go that way. So 4 times 5 would give me 20, okay? I'll give you another example. 10 over something is 2/5, okay? My arrow's got to go this way. 2 times something is 10. What is that something? It's 5. So this has to be 5 as well. So 5 times 5 is going to give me 25. Okay? If this really freaks you out with the arrows going the other way, you could always rewrite it as 2/5 equals 10 over what? And that way you could still do your arrow the same way, but it means you'd have to rewrite everything. But if that's what makes sense to you, that's what you should do. Okay? Go answer the second part of number 1. Okay? Number 2, decide which way the arrow points, then solve the proportions. You're doing exactly the same thing as you did up above. So 12 over 42 is what over 7? Okay, so my arrow's going that way. Oh, my arrow's going that way. 7 times something. What is the something? Well, I'm really good at minimath, so I know it's 6. So my arrow has to go this way. So that means that something times 6 is 12. What? How many 6s make 12? 2. Okay? So this will be your tricky part when you have to figure out what times our number, our rate that we've discovered on whichever half you have matching. You have to take that rate and figure out what is it times this that makes 12. Okay? Pause the video, go answer. Okay, number 3, solve the proportions by first writing the ratios using fraction notation. So they give us 6s to 24 as something is to 8, okay? So they want us to write it as a fraction. So 6/24 is something over 8. Now, this looks really simple. We've seen this 100 times, right? So 24, 8 turned into 24. So 8 times what is 24? 3, right? So something times 3 has to equal 6. What times 3 makes 6? How many 3's make 6? 2. Okay? So all you're going to do in this question is rewrite it as a fraction, draw in your arrows, figure out the missing number. Okay? Go finish number 3. Number 4, solve the proportions. Begin by writing the ratio that is complete in lowest terms. Okay, remember, lowest terms means that neither of the numbers have a common factor left other than 1, right? So the first one they give you is 8/10 is 4/5 is how many 15ths? Okay, so sometimes you have to go back to lowest terms because I can't easily turn 10 into 15. I could times it by 1.5, but they want you to go back to lowest terms, okay? So I have to find the greatest common factor, the biggest number that goes into both 8 and 10. Well, I know 2 goes into 8 and 10. Remember we talked about this the other day? You don't have to do it all in one bite. If you put 2 into it and then there's a number that goes into both of those numbers, keep going. You can take little bites and still get to the end. You don't have to take it all in one big bite. Okay? So 8/10 is 4/5 because this was divided by 2 and this was divided by 2, right? That's a terrible dividing sign. Now, can I get from 5 to 15 easily? Absolutely I can. So how do I get from 5 to 15? I times by 3 on the top and the bottom, and I get 12. Okay? I'll do another one with you. So 60 over 100 is what in lowest terms? Okay, well here's a little trick for you. If you've got zeros on top of each other, you can just cross them out and pretend that now it's 6 over 10. So what's a number that goes into both 6 and 10? 2 is easy. So if I divide 6 by 2, I end up with 3, and if I divide 10 by 2, I end up with 5. Now, had you not crossed out these zeros, the greatest common factor between 60 and 100 would have been 20. So if I divided 60 by 20 and 100 by 20, I'd have 20, 40, 60, 3 20s, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 5 20s, right? So now we've got lowest terms. There's nothing that goes into 3 and 5 other than 1. And then they want to know how many 45ths. But you could not go from 100 to 45 easily. But by going back to the lowest terms, you can. So how do I get from 5 to 45? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. 9. I knew that. But 9 up here times 9. 3 9s. 9, 18, 27. 27 45ths. Okay? So you need to get the first number down to lowest terms, and then go from lowest terms to the number that they're looking for, okay? Okay, pause the video, go to number 4. Okay, last one. Solve the proportions by first writing the ratios using fraction notation. I can do that. So they've got 6 to 24 equals something to 16. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it as fraction notation, right? And this is something over 16. We don't know what. I can't go from 24 to 16 easily. So we're going to go down to lowest terms. So what is the biggest number that goes into 6 and 24? Well, I know that 6 goes into itself and 6 goes into 24. So we're going to divide it by 6 on top and the bottom. So how many groups of 6 are in 6? 1. How many groups of 6 are in 24? 6, 12, 18, 24, 4. Now I can easily go from 4 to 16. How do I get from 4 to 16? 4 times what gives me 16? I know my minute math, so 4 times 4, so I need to go times 4 on the top, and I get 4/16. Okay? I'll do one more with you for an example, and then we're done for the day. Okay, something, I'll draw it the way they have it. Something over 25, well, 225, equals 4 to 10. So I'm going to rewrite it as a fraction. Something over 25 equals, we're going to lower that, and then equals 4 over 10, right? So 4 over 10, I got to get that to lowest terms. What's the biggest number that goes into 4 and 10? I'm going to try 2, because I know 4 doesn't go into 10, so that's not going to work. And 2 goes into 4, and that's really the only other one that could work. So I'm going to divide by 2. How many 2's make 4? 2. How many 2's make 10? 5. Now I can easily go from 5 to 25. Don't let it scare you that the first one is blank. You're doing the exact same thing, just in a different order. If it helps you, you could have written 4/10 equals something over 25, because you've already seen this before, right? 4/10 reduces to 2/5. How do I get from 5 to 25? We're just going to the left instead of to the right. No biggie, okay? How do I get from 5 to 25? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 times 5. I do the same thing to the top. 2 times 5, 10. So 2/5 is 4/10 is 10 25ths. Okay? That's it for today. You should bang through that super fast. It's gorgeous out. Go have a nice day.